Ready to roll? Okay, so this is the Parks and Rec Committee meeting, and first like to get a roll call first.
Lombardo.
Here.
Mosley. Malik. Here. Neal. Here. Connor.
Here.
All committee members are present.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve last week's meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes have passed. Today's piece of legislation here is from last week it's an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract with Tom Tide Ideas for a partnership with the City of Akron in the Creative Akron Summer Program for 2023 and declaring an emergency. So I know we had some questions. We have Katie Breck here from City of Akron, and we had some questions regarding this program. It's a good program, but I know one of the questions were, centered around transportation. But anyhow, Katie, if you'd like to pick up maybe where we left off last week, and if we don't have any new information, that's fine too. I had some questions down, maybe not all of them, so maybe it'd be a good time to refresh our memories on all that.
Sure. So,
Thank you.
as luck would have it, I met with Recreation this morning, and this was a topic of our discussion. And I brought my laptop up here with me because I'm waiting for Brittany Schmokel to send me some information from Tom Todd Ideas Camp. Basically, they were able to take a map of Akron and demonstrate where all the campers are coming from. And it's pretty compelling for the case that they are covering the entire city. One of the concerns that Recreation had, if we were to look for another location this late in our year of planning, that it may put one of our camps that we already have scheduled for recreation at the community centers out. So maybe looking at additional transportation options to bring other campers, but I was going to suggest that if you needed more time, that we would bring together Recreation, Tom Todd Ideas, and then members of this committee and have a meeting in between, during the week, not on the day of council, but just in between, and just make sure that, we're addressing the concerns you have, and then look for other ideas on how we can, come up with a solution. But it was pretty compelling.
Okay. Just for the record, this summer program is going to be at what site?
It's at Summit Lake, but they travel throughout the city. And so some days they come, one of the days they come down here to City Hall. I think Bounce Innovation Hub is another location, and they just travel throughout.
But the hub is at Summit Lake.
Correct.
Right, and then, like you said, they travel throughout, okay. And so was the question, and I'll ask our committee members here, the question was possibly changing, a hub to a different location, even though they travel? Was that the issue on the table? Councilman Malik.
Sure. I don't want to speak. I know Councilwoman Connor had a perspective, and I know Councilwoman Mosley also had a perspective. I think from my perspective, this has been a really successful program at Summit Lake. If it would be possible to get that map that shows.
Yes, I was actually going to share it. Can I share it with you, and then could you put it up on Zoom, please, Sarah? And then there's also attached a list of all of the Akron site visits. And then there's the map that shows where all the campers reside.
And I guess while we're waiting for that, I would just add that, I understand that, when February we're planning for this summer, if we could have a meeting, maybe it would be possible to pass this legislation, but with the goal of having a meeting and talking about, next year scaling and doing, multiple sites, I think that to me would be a productive discussion
Okay.
and a way of also moving
Yeah.
forward with this.
I think we have
Definitely.
time. No. I want to see that map. I can't see it.
Yeah, so this map is going to be where all the campers come from?
Yes, that is the map
Okay.
of where all the campers are coming from. That's one thing that we thought would be a great solution based on the concerns that were expressed last week, is that we could look for transportation options to bring more campers to Summit Lake just in the interim, and then for the future, look for an alternate site or maybe 2 sites or more. But then it's also worth noting too that APS runs a summer camp. We at Recreation also offer summer camps at all our community centers, and then there's the Tom Todd Ideas Camp. Definitely want to increase the amount of campers that are able to participate, so open to ideas. Would love to
Right.
have a meeting and figure out how we can do that.
Right, right.
Thanks, Sarah, for sharing the map.
So basically, the advertisement went through Akron Public Schools, so that's why that map, pretty much, covered a lot of the school districts, school areas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mosley?
Thank you. I would appreciate us taking another week just
Right.
to have a conversation and kicking the can a little more, especially if we can find transportation for children in other areas in the city, because this program is different than the summer programs at the Akron Public Schools. Totally kind of program.
Correct.
And I think a lot of our kids are missing out. So if we could just have a conversation about how we can be inclusive to those children in those other communities, I think what we need to do is even reaching out to maybe like try, because they pick up a lot of the kids from Mason, because they have a basketball program there in the evening, and having a conversation with maybe Sam, why they have transportation, and I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't mind if they needed to transport kids, but I would like for us to have that conversation with them to see, so all of our kids who want to be involved can be involved.
Thank you.
We'll get that scheduled.
And I'll call on, I don't know who's first, but I'll just go with Councilwoman Sharon Connor.
When this initially came in, that was the original question. It was supposed to be at Summit Lake for just a couple years and then go to other parks. So that's how I wanted to address that. But what's the maximum amount that Tom Todd can take? Because if they're almost at their maximum, and now we're going to talk about transportation, but there's only 5 spots open, I think we need to know what their maximum amount of children are so that we can look at what's the best way to get other kids from other neighborhoods there. It's great if your mom and dad drive and your mom's off all day, but we have a lot of kids that don't fit that criteria who would be spectacular in this program. And I just think, as Councilwoman Mosley said, we're missing out. Those kids are missing out, and we need to figure this out. Now, if we can't for this year, I can live with that, but there's got to be a way.
Absolutely. I think the max that they plan for is 30 per week. They had also said or discussed with Brittany that it'd be possible to maybe extend another week to try to get more campers in the door, but then of course that would come with an increased cost. But I definitely think that we can have a conversation and look for ways to bring more campers from other parts of the city to the camp. And then also, I think a separate meeting should be scheduled to talk about how to since this was a pilot, looking at a way to expand it, because it is wildly popular and very successful, and we want everyone to have this opportunity.
Right, right. So let's just say the 30 campers that did sign up, I mean, they had the information that says, hey, it's at Summit Lake, and that's why they signed up. They apparently have their transportation already figured out, or else they wouldn't have signed up. Right. Okay. Is there anybody else, any other committee members would like to speak?
Yes, Mr. Neal has,
Oh, I'm looking right at it, but I didn't see. Sorry, Mr. Neal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just listening in on the conversation, I know there's some concern on where the participants are coming from, but to address the transportation concern, have we thought of partnering with folks that run daycare, summer programs in the community, even at some of our churches, who may be able to provide transportation to bring some of their children to experience this if transportation is a concern, and that's what we're concerned about, partnering with folks that already have programs where they're working with youth, and just giving them an opportunity to partner with this program and expose their children by providing the transportation.
That is one possibility that we could consider, definitely. I think
Thank
all
you.
options are on the table.
Yeah. Yes. I like Councilwoman Connor's, idea or suggestion that we first find out the maximum number before we start opening up things. But anyhow, is there any other questions or concerns with other members of council outside of the committee? I don't see any. So I can have a motion for time? Got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, if there's no other meeting items on the agenda, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
our next committee of the day will be the Public Service Committee. Those committee members are Mosley, Kamer, Holland, Lombardo, and McKittrick. Again, that's the Public Service Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes. Thank you.